bam! The world shakes. The sky starts to twist. Everything starts to lose its colors. The world that you once knew, the fantasy that you once believed was reality, is finally torn away and ripped to shreds. All starting from just one insignificant, sudden shock of a soccer ball bursting against a wall. This was the beginning scenes to an interesting rom-com I picked up a few weeks ago called The Dreaming Boy is a Realist, or in Japanese,
Yumemiru Danshi wa Genjitsushugisha.
Because I ain't reading all that. But anyway, it's a web novel and light novel written by Oregairu, along with illustrations by Saba Mizore, and a manga being drawn by the manga artist Yoshikita Popuri. The title isn't that long, but I still want to shorten it down just for the sake of convenience. For the entirety of this video, I'll be saying Dreaming Realist. A little side note, before we get into the whole video, when you get to the light novels afterwards, you'll read the author's struggles about finding a shortened term for a series. So, I suggest YumeGen. I think it sounds pretty good, so let's see if it works. And if it does, I want like 10% of the profits, no cap. But anyway, what is this story about? Well, it's about our main character, Wataru Sajou, who is deeply in love with his beautiful classmate, Aika Natsukawa, continuing to approach her without getting discouraged, rejection after rejection. You know, your typical rom-com stuff, while having dreams about their mutual love. Now, from here on is completely the official synopsis. However, one day he woke up thinking, I am not really fit to be together with someone as good as her. Upon realizing this, Wataru started keeping an appropriate distance towards her, much to Aika's surprise. Could it be that he hates me now? Did his intention slip by her because she was getting impatient after arriving at the wrong conclusion? This is the start of a rom-com revolving around two people who just can't get their feelings across and both think their love is unrequited. Now, if you read the series beforehand, you'll know one thing. This synopsis don't do crap. It doesn't give justice to the series, bro. I came into this series off of that synopsis thinking, oh, well, it'll be one of those rom-coms about self-growth and development, basically the main character striving to be someone worthy of their love interest. I was ready for that stuff when I started reading the manga. You know, your typical rom-com plot points and development with light fluffy misunderstandings and dense NCs. But, bro, this series does not go down that route at all. This story isn't about our boy Wataru growing into a man worthy of Natsukawa. No, this story is about our man Wataru getting over his rejections and accepting who he is. Basically, before this kid had his whole mega realization, his head was stuck in the clouds. He was on cloud 9 with his love for Natsukawa, constantly asking her out and flirting with her for all to see, saying she's the most beautiful and proclaiming his love for her at every second, to the point of it becoming as natural as good morning and goodbye. He was always where Natsukawa was, and the people in the high school thought they were most definitely dating. But bro, they were not. My man was just in his own dream world and was wrapping everyone else in it. But then one day, while doing his typical antics, a soccer ball bursts right past his head and turns on the lights for this kid. With the light switch now on, Wataru opens his eyes to see all the crazy, cringy stuff that he was doing while he was down bad for Natsukawa. Wataru basically goes through that 3 AM remembrance of all those cringy things we did in middle school, waking up to see that, yeah, he's crazy and cringy. This realization made him also see that it wasn't all sunshine and kisses with his pursuit of Natsukawa. See, I purposely left out her reactions to his antics to show how delusional he was, bro. It was anything but positive. Each time he would confess, it would be an automatic no. This girl did not like him one bit and was constantly bothered by him. She wanted nothing to do with him, saying he's disgusting and repulsive, to leave her alone and not annoy her. He even stalked her a little bit during that time as well, especially during summer break. So when I said that wherever Natsukawa went, he did as well, I meant that literally. Someone was so insanely in love that he couldn't even see the proof in the pudding. Thus, after figuring out that he's a little annoying psycho, he calls Natsukawa over to his place and confesses to her one last time. Now, these actions might seem crazy from an outsider's point of view, but my boy Wataru was thinking that he knows he's gonna get rejected, so he wanted her to say it out loud to confirm the relationship status, and if by some miracle she likes him, then man, a win's a win. Or if she rejects him, then she will be proving that she really meant all that she said while he was pursuing her and wanting nothing to do with him. So let me set the scene. Natsukawa rings the bell. He opens the door and invites her in. She's worrying about him because he was acting strange all day by not acting like the typical weirdo he is. He brings her to the living room table and builds up his courage, saying that this time, for this final last time, I'll be completely serious in my approach, no BS, and asks her out. The words come out quiveringly. Hey, Natsukawa, do you want to go out with me? The tight words that clung to his chest are finally out in the open, waiting for a response. Will it be a yes or a no? Natsukawa responds automatically. No, I don't want to. Quite frankly, without emotion. I see. That's how it is. Of course, I knew I just needed the confirmation. Now the feelings in his chest can slowly ebb away. Wataru looks at Natsukawa, and as he's about to continue talking, bro, his whole family comes in. His sister Kaide comes in confused at the cute stranger in their house, yelling to their mom that Wataru brought a girl home and then ignores it to chill on the couch. His mom comes in and now looks confused and then just starts making dinner. Wataru, after all that, still continues trying to talk to Natsukawa. Someone's on a mission, saying that he'll respect her wishes and not bother her, understanding the vibe that she wants between them, reading the mood around her and leaving her alone from there on out. Apologizing for all the crazy, corny stuff that he did and just ignoring her for the past 3 years. But before she leaves, asking if she could bless him with some girl recommendations. But of course she didn't and left bro's house. Now, why narrate this whole scene out for y'all? It's so y'all can understand that this series is built on this scene right here. Wataru pre-realization was a weirdo creep, but also an extremely down bad adolescent kid going through puberty. The series shows the growth of that boy who was once like that, becoming a more wise and self-conscious young man, building off of this rejection and showing him on his journey to let go of those feelings for his previous love, Natsukawa, and find a new love. This was the beginning of the whole story from there on out, and it just gets better the more you read, especially at Volume 8. I feel like the series gets into the good stuff once we get to Volume 3. Dreaming Realist is a great series, but it has only one massive gripe for me, and that is Natsukawa. I hate her. I hate her so much, bro. And it's not only her, but a good few characters as well. Why does hating a character have to be a gripe though? It's because the author, and while I love his writing style and the books, has a problem. It's all because of how he wrote the intended development of our character so well that it offsets the typical rom-com developments that he wishes to write into the story. What do I mean by that? Spoilers ahead, be warned, but our main protagonist, Wataru, gets rejected by Natsukawa, right? After this rejection, we start to dive deep into his psyche, reading about how he sees himself as a normal person with average looks, build, and skills. He is normal, too normal, for the prices above the world beauty like Natsukawa. He has nothing about him that makes him special. No redeeming qualities whatsoever. He even starts to consider himself as ugly and repulsive, disgusting and foolish, due to the many rejections that Natsukawa gave him during his years of trying to capture her heart. His self-image is so terrible that it makes it hard to read at times, especially in the early volumes, such as 1 and 2. And this is the thing. It's not only Natsukawa that makes him believe that he's an ugly waste of space, but also his own family, especially his own sister, Kaide. He treats him like trash and calls him ugly and average almost every day, telling him not to be too confident in himself and he should know his limits. And what's crazy is that in Volume 1, right? He starts to second guess her approach to him and gets into an argument with him over her treatment. So to put her goodwill to the test, he asks her to name 5 things that are good about him. Sun couldn't even answer and come up with 1, bro. Wataru had to lessen it and say 10 normal things about him. And this girl went on to say 20. I'm like, bro, are you serious? And at this point in Volume 1, he was really, and I mean really depressed, due to some circumstances besides Natsukawa's rejection. And it's not only his sister, but his own mother tells him not to think that he's handsome, but he's average at best. Wataru's girl classmates also treats him like trash, telling him that he's disgusting and creepy. Do you start to see the picture that I'm painting here? It's like Hachiman from Oregairu was giving his kid some life lessons tips. It's straight depressing, dude. And these feelings of sadness and anger that some clueless kid has to endure such abuse and not receive any kind of love at all, not even from himself, is what we get as readers when reading about his hardships throughout the story. All of the characters who did this to him, we now dislike. Even if Wataru was doing some crazy stuff before, we as readers still sympathize with his pain from Natsukawa and the people around him constant rejections. And now, this will be all fine and dandy if the main purpose of the story was about Wataru's self-growth and development. If the story was about how Wataru grows to love and accept himself without needing the love of others, if the story was about him growing out of his feelings for Natsukawa and becoming free from his previous shackles, then it would have been okay. I would have been fine with it and not have a problem. But the story doesn't go down that path. It ignores all the build-up the author spent tugging at our heartstrings and tries to force a rom-com relationship with Natsukawa. Now, again, let me be honest. This story would have been fine if Wataru's pain wasn't a main focus, but was brushed over instead, being put up for laughs and making him a straight man or funny character. But the author doesn't do that, and that's the problem. Look, I've read a good multitude of stories that handle these very same concepts of rejection and misunderstandings before, and still rooted for all the girls in the series, or handle those concepts of simpling arguments and hate before and laugh knowing that they are still family at the end of the day. But when you focus on the pain and trauma of your main protagonist, then you can't possibly believe that we, the readers, will laugh at those intended jokes. Instead of laughing, we'll be holding back tears for how tough it is for our MC. And this is what I'm talking about. After Wataru respects Natsukawa's wishes of leaving her alone and actually distancing himself after getting rejected by her, she wants to go and try to be friends with him and starts to like him. Look, again, I've seen these concepts before. I'm totally fine with them. But when reading about how conflicted Wataru feels about her sudden approaches, feeling confused on how to handle her, not wanting to hurt her again, feeling played with, and remembering her rejections and trying to make her happy by distancing himself from her, you don't feel fluffy when she tries to talk to him, but instead angry. To put it in simple terms so that y'all can understand if you haven't read the story, basically, let's say for example, you like this girl for a really long time and decided to ask her out one day. And then you get rejected. You're rejected, so those budding feelings you had for her, you gotta throw them away and forget about them, right? So, of course, you sort of distance yourself from her to process your emotions and to start to finally get over her. But what if that girl who rejected you starts to get up in your face at every moment now that you finally left her alone? Day after day, when you were with her, she was annoyed and didn't want you around her as well. So you're not only taking this distance for yourself, but also to respect her wishes and feelings, to understand the vibe he's putting out between y'all. But she ignores all of that to continue to talk to you, to continue to try and get your attention when she despised it not only a few days ago. What happens if she starts acting and doing things that only your girlfriend's supposed to do and care about? She gets mad when you start looking at other girls, when you talk to other people besides her. You are trying to change and grow, trying to respect her wishes that she insisted on for years on end. And as you are doing that, you are constantly getting reprimanded for letting go of your feelings for her by everyone around you. Now you're stuck and confused. Does he like me or does he not? Am I doing the right thing here or am I messing up? How can I make everyone, no, not even everyone, but her, the girl herself, happy? So you confront her about it and she says nothing concrete, always vague, not answering the question and causing more pain and hurt onto your psyche. Let me ask you, does someone like that sound fun to you? Does someone like that sound like a good female main character? A good love interest? No, it sounds annoying. It sounds like a bother. And that's what Natsukawa is for all of us who have read this series before. And now, I only read the light novels, but I have heard that she's even more worse in the web novel. And it's not only Natsukawa, but a good majority of the characters in the series just accepting her crap and ignoring Wataru's feelings on the whole matter. Telling him to continue to go after her even after getting rejected for 3 years straight. Is that not crazy? Is that not insane, bro? And this is my gripe, because the author pushes this relationship as the main one. There are plenty of other girls in the series that have proper, healthy, and even growing relationships with Wataru, helping him. But Natsukawa doesn't do that. She isn't a good force in his life, but a toxic one, only hurting him more and more. But how does she hurt him, some may ask? By continuously reminding him of his inferiority complex. See, the thing is, he makes himself remember every time when he sees her face and interacts with her, the toxic lessons his family and the world around him taught him. That he's just normal, average, ugly, worthless, to not get too high for his bridges, and to remember that she doesn't like him, to be conflicted on what to do and how to treat her. As a reference, remember what was stated in the example earlier, and think about how you might feel when placed in such an oppressive situation. That's how Wataru feels every time he interacts with Natsukawa. If such a relationship is present in the series, do you truly think we'll support it? No, we won't. And that's why I'm so confused and conflicted about the author's direction of the series. He poured so much into Wataru's pain and character, but didn't progress his character. Wataru, out of all the cast of characters, can be the least progressed one at times. Everyone else goes through the development and progression. Even Natsukawa has great character development. But just like Wataru has terrible progression, Wataru was written like he needs to love himself, but the author ignores that to force a relationship where Wataru and Natsukawa get together. There's another reason why I hate Natsukawa, and that's because of her continuous self-centeredness and selfishness towards Wataru. Now, if you read the series, you'll see that Natsukawa is a pretty nice person overall and a hard worker, even going out of her way to help her troubled family by taking care of her little sister, sacrificing her youth for them. But when it comes to understanding Wataru's feelings, all of this consideration and selflessness goes out of the window. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that you shouldn't go and hang out with the boy you just rejected. It doesn't take that much reflection to think that if I rejected somebody, seriously, for the past 3 years straight and called them names and devalued them, that it would give them some type of trauma and a negative self-perception. You don't need to be Albert Einstein to figure out that you're hurting someone just by being around them. And the thing is, when she finally does figure it out and catches a glimpse of all that pain she has been inflicting onto Wataru's heart and mind, she still continues interacting with him. Like, I'm not making this up, bro. Wataru literally goes sick from his constant self-deprecation and stress that he gets from interacting with Natsukawa. She actually sends him to the infirmary, bro. That's how bad it got for him. But Natsukawa doesn't care. And at a later point in the series, she figures this out, right? And at this point, she also figures out that she likes him. So now answer this. If you figure out that you're causing a person you love a lot of pain and hardship, what would you do? You would try to find a way to fix it. And if the answer was to distance yourself from them and give them time to heal, wouldn't you do that? Natsukawa realizes that, and instead of distancing herself from Wataru's life, she just gets more annoying, bro. Like, I'm really not making this up, bro. I'm really not. And it's really hilarious for me because I'm like, ain't no way, bro. By now, you guys should have figured out that I'm an avid Natsukawa hater, bro. Why was it that volume 3, I felt like the story was overall better? It's because Natsukawa left for a good majority of it. Like, I never disliked the character so much, and her writing is great, but it doesn't change the fact that I truly dislike her. She's on the list of the most hated with Rachel, bro. And it's crazy that it's to the point where I would rather any, and I mean any other girl to become Wataru's girlfriend as long as it's not Natsukawa, bro. But let me stop while I'm ahead, before this whole video becomes only Natsukawa hate. I made this video so that 1, y'all can read this interesting series, but also 2, so that the author can know to just stick with his guns and not try to force the story down the mainstream path. He wrote a great story with such compelling characters that even pulls at your emotions, making you actually feel for them and care about what they do and don't do. So move in that confidence and grow Wataru already, bro. It takes a lot of skill for a writer to create characters that actually invokes emotions within the readers. Removing the stage of indifference is hard, but Oregairu sensei does it well. But a little heads up for y'all when y'all do start reading this story, its starting volumes can be kinda mediocre. And I'm not gonna cap, the starting volume of this series isn't its strongest, and while that might make sense to you guys since you'll be looking at it as of course it's beginning, it can't top the later arcs or build up, but it's not the case here. The first 2 volumes are what I'll say kind of boring, and it can be tough reading at times, since it also can be quite depressing, especially during those early arcs. When I mean boring / mediocre, is that the writing was average and didn't grab my attention fully, feeling a struggle to keep reading at times, but it wasn't all that bad, it was just normal. But I stayed, and I suggest y'all do too, because the volumes after 2 are great and have intriguing characters and development. Oregairu sensei writing really steps it up after volume 2, and the world building also goes crazy in volume 5. I'm not gonna spoil, but it gets really interesting because it makes you feel the history behind the high school Wataru and them attend. I love a good majority of the female cast as well. There's one thing you can't say about Oregairu sensei, and that is he can't write female characters, bro. All of them are so well written with actual valid motivations for their actions and reactions, receiving proper development as well. Not only that, but Oregairu sensei writes everyone like they're actually high school students. Well, a good majority of them, as long as it isn't related to the school's world building. Like, for example, there's a good arc where 3 high school girls just argue with each other over a boy they like getting a girlfriend with one of them in their group, like Real Housewives of Atlanta type stuff. And it's actually interesting. The light novel illustrations are marvelous, and I love the manga's drawings as well. Overall, it's a great rom-com series, and I have a lot of praise for it. Whether you want to watch the anime, read the manga, or read the light novels, I believe you'll get a good viewing of this story. I started off with the manga and then switched to the light novels once I caught up on the manga. So if y'all interested, just get ready for an intriguing but slightly annoying ride when y'all start your journeys of this series. I'll make my predictions and Natsukawa hate videos later, and in case for those few who read this series beforehand and are wondering who's my favorite girl, so far I gotta say it's Inose at first place and the Gairu at second. She's the best, and her conversation in volume 8 is one of my favorites, and I think it was greatly handled, and I just love Wataru and Inosu's interactions. The Gairu appearance in volume 8 was all that he needed, giving Wataru some good love that he most definitely deserved. I'll be making a ranking video of all these characters after the anime ends. Also, the light novels just got licensed by Monogatari Novels, so you can check it out there. They only got volume 1 so far though, and if you want, you can find the web novel and novel updates as well as the manga on manga updates. It's a great read, so please guys check it out and spread the Natsukawa hate everywhere. Peace.
Open these eyes, how they're hiding